Hello, everyone. So this time I came here to show you a very quick small project that I was doing for this specific Kaggle competition that is the Generative AI Intensive Course Capstone project. Basically, this was a project at the end of the 5-day AI, Generative AI Intensive Course from Google. So they did the course. It was very good. So it took basically 5 days, and by the end, they created this competition that will be the capstone project for us to test everything that we did. So I took I took this course, and by the end, I decided that it would be a good idea to also do the capstone project to test my skills. So I built a very simple project here that I will show to you guys. In this case, I was also interested in testing the new ADK Agent Development Kit, the new agentic framework from Google. So basically, I was just testing the new skills that I got from the course, and also testing, giving it a try for the new agentic framework from Google. So we will go through the project here that I have created. I called it Topic Tonic, and the idea is actually quite simple. The user will provide a specific topic, and the agentic framework will be charged to do the research, review, curate the content, improve it, do more research if it's necessary. Basically, an agentic workflow to do research for a specific topic and present the user in a friendly way, both using text and also audio. So quite simple, and you will understand it better once I go through all of the code here. Uh, so the prerequisites that I need to install here is basically the Google ADK new framework and also this library that I use to create the text-to-speech functionality. Uh, we can skip the dependencies. I'm using just a single secret key. This one is from the Google AI Studio uh, tool. So anyone can create a key for free. So this is should be reproducible by anyone. And I set it here. Uh, you can see that at the parameters here that I'm using the Gemini 2.5 Flash model. I tested other models. I also tested the Pro one, but this seems to be a very good model for this specific use case. The Pro one would be better, but this Flash version of it would be much faster and also much cheaper as well. So this should seems to be a very good option for these specific use cases. You can see also some parameters here that I will explain it a little bit better once I go through the code. But basically, something here to define the loop of the agentic workflow and also the language of the final output of the text-to-speech tool that I'm using here. So I will briefly describe also the function that I have created. This first one is basically a class that inherits from the base agent from ADK, and it's basically a stop condition for the loop workflow that you see a little bit below. You can also see the main function here, that is the call agent that calls the full workflow. It takes the session state from the agentic workflow. I set a few keys here, the topic that the workflow we use to do the research, the final language that the audio tool will be generating, and also where I want to save this file. The rest here is basically boilerplate code that the framework requires to run the agentic workflow. But it's nothing very complex. It's quite simple. I have created also a few helper functions here to basically do debugging. It's not very important. It's basically tools to do logging before specific parts. So this one, it adds a logging functionality before any agent is called. This one is after the agent is called, and this one is actually before the model is called. So actually, in this iteration of the work, I have only used this one, and you will see also in the logs there. The tools that I'm using for my agentic workflow, basically, I'm only using a single one. It's also a simple tool, the text-to-speech tool. So it will receive text and will create the audio version of it, which basically a narration of the text. You can see that the definition of the tool is quite simple for ADK. It receives an input, which here is the text, and it also has the tool context. Basically, anything that is relevant for the tool will the framework will be storing here. So you can see that I'm getting a few keys here. The text, which is I retrieve from the state in this specific key. I'm also retrieving the language that is stored here, and also the audio path where I will be saving the narration at the end. And this is the actual call of the functionality where I generate the speech and then I finally save it together with a few logs here uh, to debug if needed. And we can finally go to the agent definition. You can see here is the agent definition, and it's very similar to Crew AI, if you guys are familiar with that as well. So the first one is Google Search Agent. It's very simple, and it has a basic description and also instruction here as well. You can see that it's using the Google search tool, which if I go up a little bit, it's also provided by the ADK tool. So it's one of the few built-in tools that the framework is already providing to us. So let's go down a little bit. It's using this tool, and basically the agent definition comes with the model that it's using. Here is the Gemini 2.5 Flash that I showed to you, the name of the agent, the description, and the instructions. So the description is very important because if another agent is going to use this agent into an inner workflow, it will be leveraging this description to decide if it's going to call this agent or not. And the instruction is basically the system prompt of the model here that we'll be using. Tools, anything that it has available, and here is just the debug login that I have added of the functionalities. The output key is uh, the key in the state dictionary that this agent will be leaving the output. So in this case here is Google Search Agent Response, which is this key here. So inside of the session state, if I search for this key, I will see the output of that specific agent. And it's the same for the rest of them. So this is the Google search tool, and then this is text-to-speech tool. So you can see that while this is a regular agent, the search agent, I'm wrapping actually into an agent tool. So basically we have the tool here, which is a Google search that is used by an agent, but then I wrap it into an agent tool. I'm basically turning this agent into a tool that will be used by another agent. This is also something that we can do here quite easily. But here I have the text-to-speech agent, which uses the text-to-speech tool that I showed to you guys above, this one. And then we actually have the writer agent here. So writer agent, it will write the story, then it will pass to the critic agent, which will criticize the agent, the story to see if anything can be improved. Then we have the reviser agent, uh, that will basically review the story created to see if there is an improvement that is needed. So I'm skipping to all of the instructions and description of them because it's quite intuitive. So you guys can take a look at the final code and inspect it a little bit better. Then we have this actually concept here, which is the loop agent. So I am creating a loop between those three agents. So basically, the first one will be the writer. Then we have the critic that will receive its output. Then we have this check status and escalate function that we saw above that will see if we can actually break the loop, basically. If it is not broken, we can go to the revision agent. So the idea is that the first agent will write a draft of the story. The second agent will criticize it, and if it have a critic, if that's not good enough, it will not stop, and it will go to the reviser agent that will review this story. If it's good enough, then it will break the loop. If not, it will keep iterating, will keep looping here until it reaches the max iteration, or if it breaks from the loop. So it's basically a loop to write a draft of the story and iteratively improve it until the agent is satisfied, this critic agent is satisfied, or it reaches max iteration. So this is an inner loop of our agentic workflow. Then we have the orchestrator agent. So this is basically the main agent, and it will decide if it's going to do a Google search or do that iteration that we saw above. The idea, it's actually quite simple of this one. So this is basically the main entry point of the system, and it will decide, evaluate the topic that it has. If it has enough information, it will start to iterate and create the story. If it doesn't have enough information, it will do a Google search. So the idea is basically, probably at the start for a new topic, it will do a Google search, get some information about the topic, create an initial draft of the story, iterate it over it until it's improved. If there is not enough information, then it will do another Google search to gather even more information and improve the current draft. So it can loop also here a little bit as well, since I have created a the loop agent that will have the orchestrator agent alone and uh, a break condition here. So we'll also do a few loops here. So do some Google searches, do some drafting of the story until it's satisfied and breaks the loop, or until it reaches the max iteration. And then we have the final workflow that basically takes the previous one, and then when it's done, it will go to the text-to-speech agent that will take the final version of the story and create the narration, the voiceover for that story. So we can see in action here. So first we create the session service, which is basically the object that will keep the session state for the workflow. When we create here, that has the name of the app, a specific ID for the user, and also a specific ID for this specific session. And then we create the runner. That is basically the object that will run the actual workflow. And then we can call the agent. So the first call here, I'm just using Transformer NLP architecture, and we can see a few logs here. First, it went to the orchestrator agent, then it did a Google search, then it came back to the orchestrator, and you can see that it went to the other loop that wrote a little bit of the story, then went to the critic, and it seems that the critic was satisfied. So it broke the loop here, and then we called the text-to-speech tool to create the voice over the narration of the story. And you can see here. Basically, this audio will be the audio version of this story. Let's
In
see
the
if it plays
bustling
here.
digital metropolis where algorithms toil day and night to understand human language, life.
Okay, so it will be a full voiceover of this story here. And then I also did a few other tests. I used a historical character. In this case, here Socrates, and I just need to initialize a new session and a new runner, and then I can call the agent. So in this case here, you can see that the orchestrator agent, it did not do the Google search. Probably what happened here is that the agent thought that it already had uh, enough information, just let's say inside of the LLM, to write something about Socrates, and it basically looped twice into the story creation loop. So it wrote something, went to the critic added some comments, and then went to the reviser, then it went to the writer again, and then the critic was satisfied with the result. So we created the narration here, which is this
In the
part.
bustling heart of ancient Athens, a man of simple means and profound thought walked the dusty streets. This was Socrates.
Okay, so this is the narration for this story, and for the final version, I just created a random content here. In this case, it was a topic of Warhammer's Emperor of Mankind, probably a topic that the LLM would have to do a Google search, which is what I did here. So we entered the workflow and then did a Google search, then went to the workflow again, and it called the story writing loop. So it wrote something, the critic was already satisfied, and then we created voiceover.
Across the vast, grim darkness of the far future, Humanity cowers under the shadow of the Imperium. A tyrannical star-spanning empire rules.
Okay, so this is it. You can see that it already created everything very nicely, and it more or less worked in the way that we do. So of course, this is just a simple version of the app, and it can improve a lot, especially if we improve a little bit of the instructions of any of the agents here. We can also add more agents to make the story more engaging, improve it a little bit. We can create, let's say, instead of only narrations of the stories, we can also create a video, maybe create some images to illustrate everything. So anything here is possible. We can also have a knowledge base and do some RAG to retrieve the content instead of only relying on Google search. Anything goes here. So the framework is quite good. So it's very flexible and it was very easy to use here. You just need to pay a little bit of attention on how you are going to retrieve the content from the session state. Otherwise, it's all good. So I'm also going to write a blog post and put into this description and also put the link to this notebook so that you guys can take a look if you want there as well. So thank you very much and see you in the next time.